You've probably seen those videos that say making six figures is easy, and honestly, they used to make my eyes roll. But then I did it. I became a six-figure Etsy seller. And looking back, I kind of get it now. And while I might not call it easy, I would most definitely call it simple. It wasn't a magic formula or perfect timing. It came down to one mindset shift that changed everything. And when I really understood this, that's when my shop began to take off. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how I scaled from 0 to 6 figures on Etsy and the exact decisions that got me there, and how you can apply this to your own Etsy journey, even if you're starting out from scratch. Because guess what? We all started from 0. I started my Etsy shop a few years ago, and it did take me about 8 months of full-time work. So between 20 and 40 hours a week I was putting in full-time work before I really saw traction. But then over the next few months after that, month 9, month 10, month 11, my shop scaled like crazy. All of my efforts compounded down on one another, and there was amazing growth, which means there was incredible profits in my pockets. And now, 4 years later, I still run a profitable print-on-demand shop. But what really lights me up now is teaching others how to do the same. I share everything I've learned, the good, the hard, the wildly profitable, right here on YouTube and inside my private community of Etsy sellers. So if you're in the messy middle, and oh my gosh, is it so very messy, or if you're just getting started, you are in the right place. And I hope this gives you the clarity, the hope, the push, and the excitement you need to move forward. So first, it's not about talent, it's about choice. You don't need to be the most talented or original. You need to choose to keep going when it's hard, and most people don't. Let me be really honest with you. I did not become a six-figure seller because I had the best designs. I became a six-figure seller because I made really hard choices on super duper boring days. A lot of people think it's about talent or luck or going viral, but that's not what scaled my shop. What scaled my shop were the things that no one wants to talk about because they're just really not fun or sexy. The hard things most people avoid, and why these things matter. So first, listing products that flopped and listing again anyway. Boy, that is such a boring decision to make over and over and over again. I made this decision hundreds of times and then thousands of times. It sucks to spend 45 minutes designing something, uploading it, writing SEO, your title and your tags, and then it's crickets. But the people who scale, they list again anyway. And they treat failure as data, not defeat. With each listing that fails, they learn something. And with each listing that gets 1, 2, 3 visits, they don't discount that. They don't go, oh, that's probably a bot, or oh, that was probably a friend, or maybe I clicked on that myself and it counted as a visit. They're looking at their shop stats and they are gleaming information, even if it's just a little crumb of information there, a little crumb of evidence that that design was enjoyed. Another hard thing that most people are going to want to avoid: creating even when no one is cheering you on. You might not have a partner who gets it. You might be juggling a full-time job or mom life. You might be working at 11 p.m. with no guarantee that this is going to work out. But showing up anyway, that's the real flex. None of us have a guarantee that this is going to work when we get started. And it is hard to pour a lot of time and energy into something when you don't have a promise that it's going to work. But if you want a promise that you're going to get paid for your efforts and your work, then that is when you work for someone else and you get paid for your hours. That is not what you are. You are a business owner, though. Business owners understand that they work hard for a period of time so that they can have scalable income later. Just think about that for a second. That concept is so powerful. I used to come home after school because I was a 4th grade school teacher, and I was tutoring after school to make ends meet. But I had a promised paycheck. I showed up at work, I carried through with my lesson plans, and I was paid, but it wasn't enough. And the raises were itty bitty teeny weeny. And so I had to tutor like crazy after school. I was so burnt out. And I remember I would come home after a long day of tutoring, the sun would be coming down, I'd put on my running clothes and I would go out for a jog. And while I was running was my time to like decompress and think. And do you know what I would often think about? I would often think about how can I make more money? That was what I was thinking about. And before I came across a YouTube video that talked about Etsy shops, as I didn't know to like listen to content about entrepreneurship. That was nowhere in my realm. I didn't understand that at all. So I would sit there and think, okay, what if I go back to school? Because the only thing I knew was your degree makes you money. I went to school to become an educator, and that's how I was getting my paycheck. So what else could I do that I enjoyed? I like working with the numbers. Maybe I could go back and be an accountant, but then I had to go back to school. An accountant would make more money than a teacher, but then I'm gonna have to go back to school for so long. It just seemed like so hard. I couldn't believe it when I came across this concept of scalable income. But I didn't understand in that first YouTube video I watched about having an online business with Etsy and print on demand, how much upfront work I would need to put in before I would be able to enjoy all of that scalable income. The people that get to enjoy that scalable income are the people that keep showing up even when no one's cheering them on, when you don't know that this is going to work. Even in those moments, it feels kind of hopeless. Next, another hard thing that most people want to avoid would be auditing your own work instead of just posting more and more and praying. It's really easy to say the listing didn't sell. Etsy must be broken. Etsy's hiding my stuff. Etsy doesn't like me. It's harder to go back and ask, okay, did I choose the right thumbnail, the right mock-up? Did my customer see themselves in this design? Did I really speak to a specific customer? And did I make something really valuable for that customer? Did I make enough valuable things for that target customer that I would be likely to get caught up in sales with one of them? Most people really skip this part, but that's really where the gold is. Auditing your own work, leaning into the things that you have control over. So often people want to just say, oh, it's the Etsy gods. The Etsy gods be what they do. They just choose. They pluck winners out, and that's how this works. That is absolutely not how this works. We create ourselves as a winner by continuing to show up and doing one of those hard things, which is auditing our own work. So the truth is, most people won't make it because they wait to feel inspired. They wait for validation. But when you realize that you have to treat this like a real job, like a calling, and that you chose to do the hard thing of opening your own business, and then that means you're going to choose to do the hard things that are going to create success in that business, even when they're quiet, they're thankless, they're boring, and you're feeling unsure the whole time you're doing it. That's when you start to win. Okay, so you're on the road to become a six-figure seller when you understand that you have to do the things, the hard things. They're not even hard. They're just boring things. The boring things, well, they're a little hard because you're feeling unsure the entire time you're doing it. You have to do the hard things even though you want to avoid them, even though you don't want to, even though you're not inspired to do them. And next, you have to choose purpose over comfort. Your real success comes when you treat your shop as your calling, as your passion, not just your side hustle. So you really have to think about your why, your reason for wanting to have a successful Etsy shop. What does it mean for you? 12 months, 18 months down the road, 24 months down the road. You have a scaling, thriving business. You're making six figures. What does that mean for you? It means more than just having a successful Etsy shop. Does it mean that you accomplish something? Does it mean that you can be financially independent and not tied to any other thing? Like you're producing enough to take care of yourself, to take care of your family? Does it mean you're going to be able to travel or create that life that you're looking to create? Does it mean that you're going to be able to send the kids to college? Does it mean you're going to be able to vision yourself being able to help others when they're in a financial crisis? Or does it just mean being able to breathe and not worry about living paycheck to paycheck? What is your why? Why is it important to you? Because this is going to keep you moving with purpose instead of trying to just be comfortable. On those hard days where you don't feel like listening, it's much more comfortable to go sit on the couch. I'm looking over at my couch right now. It's much more comfortable. It looks pretty comfortable right now to go sit on the couch, put the TV on, and watch some Netflix. But we can't do that if we want to be a six-figure seller. So as you know, I used to be a teacher. I loved helping people. I loved helping my students. I loved working with my parents, but I wanted more freedom. And honestly, I wanted more income. My Etsy shop became my new classroom. I was willing to learn from my Etsy shop and lean into all of those hard things because I was working toward a purpose, a better life, a less stressed life. It wasn't just a side hustle. It was only when I first started Etsy, it was maybe a side hustle for like the first month. I was probably putting full-time hours into it, but I was only expecting it to bring me side hustle money. I was hoping it would make me about $1,000 a month profit because that's what I was making tutoring. And I just thought it would be so much better to, be at home and make that money rather than be on the road, moving houses, going to kids' houses to tutor. So that was all I was expecting from it. But the more content I listened to, I realized that my Etsy shop was a tool for transformation in my life. I was going to be able to completely transform my life. And if other people were able to hit those income goals, six-figure sellers, and as a teacher, I was making $51,000 a year after 18 years of teaching. If I could hit six-figure profits after I was hoping after 3 or 4 years, I did it within my second year, that's transformative. My life would be transformed for myself and for anyone in my life that I could help. And along the way, I wouldn't say I get to transform my customers' lives, but I've been able to touch my customers' lives in ways that were very meaningful and very uplifting for me. I remember one of the very first times I got to interact with someone whom I felt like I got to do something that was meaningful for them. She was a cancer patient, and she reached out about one of my items, and she wanted it on a hoodie, but she needed a 5XL. And at the time, I was using a print provider that did not offer that, and I had to make this happen for her. She had let me know how meaningful this design was for her. She had let me know that she was going to be bringing it to the hospital with her because she was always cold during her treatments. And there was no way I could let her down. When someone is going through something difficult, when a stranger goes out of their way to do them a kindness, it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly meaningful to that individual because they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel cared about. And it just means something extra when it's coming from someone who didn't have to be there for them. And so I made sure that I found another print provider, wound up being Printify, and I fulfilled that sweatshirt for her through that. And there's been a number of times where I've been able to interact with people in this way and feel like I was able to do them a kindness that really felt meaningful for them, which is in turn is then meaningful for me and fulfilling for me. If your only goal is to make money, you'll burn out. You have to focus on the reasons why you are wanting to create that income for yourself. Otherwise, you'll give up because the money doesn't come fast. You have to put all of this time and energy into it in the beginning. So what is it that you want to do with that money that is transformative for your life? The traveling, the doing kind things for others, the dream home that you want to live in, and what that dream home would mean for your quality of life. Your goal needs to be to build something meaningful, something that makes someone's day or fills a need. The momentum starts to build fast. Your own momentum, your own energy momentum. And it's easier to choose to do those hard things we chatted about earlier when that momentum is swinging because your purpose is so strong. Your why is so strong. And then when you're considering how you're going to be able to help others in your life, with that money you can generate, you're going to be filled with momentum and drive to keep building and to keep going. The next trick we're going to talk about that will help becoming a six-figure Etsy seller seems simple is to empower others to scale yourself. I'll go into what I mean by that. The more value you create for others, the faster your business scales. So sometimes it's as simple as, instead of focusing on the money that you want to earn, focus on the value you're giving to your customers. We'll dive into that a little bit, but the money will come. If you provide the value and you provide it enough times, the money will come. It will flow your way. So the more value you create for others, the faster your business can start to scale. The listings that blow up in my shop aren't necessarily the trendiest. Yes, I'm trying to create designs that are on trend, but really the designs that blow up in my shop, they're the most relatable. They solve a problem, such as I need to buy the perfect gift for my mom, or I need a shirt to wear for the first day of school, or my family needs matching Christmas family shirts and I need to find the matching Christmas family shirt that speaks perfectly for my family. In addition to solving a problem, they can also make someone feel seen, like it's the perfect way for them to express what's important to them, what they feel passionately about, or it makes someone feel funny. People love to feel funny. So think, that nurse who is picking up that shirt that says, "We'll trade patience for candy." Think of your Etsy shop as a service, and you are servicing all of these customers. Yes, even if we're selling shirts, this is a service and we're doing something meaningful and can provide value to someone else's life. And that is exactly what is going to sell your shirts. You're giving someone the perfect gift. You're helping someone say something about who they are. You are helping someone celebrate an important event in their life. And all of those things are very, very powerful. People are literally checking the mailbox every day to see if that oh so perfectly them item has arrived. You are literally responsible for creating a moment of joy in a total stranger's life with your design. And if you approach your design sessions in that mental mindset, you're going to create things that are so much more special and so much more likely to end with you scaling your shop. So we might stop thinking about going viral, about something just taking off like crazy. Stop focusing on that while you're designing. Instead, focus on trying to be useful to your customer, and your income is going to jump. And you know what? If you've ever felt unsure about what to list, when to list it, or how to really connect with buyers during the holidays, you are absolutely not alone. I have been there, I have done that, and I've actually helped quite a few people that have been there and felt that way, which is exactly why I created a resource to hold your hand and walk you through it. It's not just a calendar. I mean, it is a calendar and it's got listing windows in there for you. It's an absolute roadmap to preparing for Q4, but it's not just that. It's a strategic plan for scaling your shop during the absolute most transformational season of the year. Every Q4, I double what I made the entire year. So if you're going into Q4 and you've made $10,000 profit, you're likely to make $20,000 or even $30,000 profit if you prepare properly for Q4, which is exactly what this resource is aimed to help you do. I created it based on what I actually do in my own six-figure Etsy shop, listing windows I've tested, types of designs that build momentum, and the real buying behaviors of shoppers looking for meaningful, giftable items. If you're serious about making Q4 your breakthrough season, and it absolutely could be. If you're watching this video when it comes out, you're early enough to the game and you could change everything with this Q4. And this calendar can help you prep your shop properly, so your listings aren't just seasonal, they're strategic. You'll walk away with direction, focus, and a clear path to make the most of the time Etsy sellers wait all year for. Because when you give your shop what it really needs, smart prep, aligned on-trend designs, and listings that show up for the right customers at the right time, that's when your shop becomes more than just a side hustle. That's when it becomes a vehicle for real growth and to move you toward that six-figure seller status. The fourth thing we're going to talk about that will hopefully make becoming a six-figure Etsy seller simple for you, feel easier, is to think about we'll call it the 80-year-old test. Why the adventure was worth it, right? So think about your 80-year-old self. What would your future self be proud of? Whenever I was tempted to quit, and there were so many moments, or tempted not to keep doing the hard things that we all want to avoid that we talked about earlier, I used to ask myself, what story will I be proud of? What story will you be proud of when you're 80? And let me tell you, my 80-year-old self, she's not impressed by my sales numbers or my bestseller badges, and there's a bunch. She's proud because I didn't take the easy route. I could have stayed comfortable. I had a steady paycheck. I was tutoring every day. It was what I knew. It was safe and it was respectable. And it would have been so easy to just stay there. Familiar, predictable, safe, but something in me wanted more. And after I came across that first YouTube video talking about Etsy, there was like a fire that was lit inside me, something that I was interested in, something I was yearning for that I didn't even know I was yearning for. And now it's almost like I'm addicted to building things. Built the Etsy shop and then built the YouTube channel and building my online membership. Like, it became so fun to build things. But here's the part I didn't expect. Somewhere in that adventure, I became someone I didn't even know I could be. I developed the skill of showing up, not just when it was exciting, not just when I felt inspired, but also when I was lonely, when I was uncertain, when I felt like it was so tedious, such tedious work. I became someone who follows through, who does what she says she's going to do. I became someone with grit, someone who didn't give up when the going got tough. And that wasn't just something that happened in business. That bled through to many other things. It was something I had been building in myself for years. But the business, opening a business, really opened the floodgates of this part of my personality. So I don't talk about this a lot on YouTube, and let's see if I can get through it without getting teary-eyed. But I have shared it in an interview that I did with Hannah Gardner. Before I started my Etsy shop, I suffered very unexpected and very great loss in my life. And it was one of the hardest seasons of my life. That season taught me what it means to keep going when your heart is shattered. It taught me how to move forward without knowing what comes next. And with moving forward even when you feel hopeless for the future. And honestly, that same resilience carried over into how I have shown up for my business. It shaped how I handle setbacks, how I lean into growth, and how I continue becoming this version of myself. Because my younger self would be really proud of this version of myself. And my 80-year-old self is already cheering me on. When you decide to go on this journey to build your shop, your income, your life, yes, the money of course matters, right? That's why we're building this business. But what you're really building is you. So ask yourself, if you're lucky enough to live to 80, what version of yourself do you want to look back on? The one who played it safe or the one who built something brave? So this is your reminder to choose consistency over perfection, even when we want to avoid the hard things, to design for servicing others, not just for sales, and to reconnect with why this shop matters to you. 6 figures does not come from one perfect listing or even from a handful of perfect listings. It came from showing up, solving problems, and treating this like the adventure of a lifetime. So if you're wondering when it's going to happen for you, start by asking yourself, what am I really building here? Because when you get that, the 6-figure part, that becomes the easy part. If you needed to hear it today, I believe in you. I know you can do this. It is attainable. If I could do it, you could do it too. What I've done is 100% repeatable. You've got this. Next, I've handpicked a video for you because I want you to dig into how to create designs that will service your customers, that will have them adding to cart and purchasing your product. You're going to watch that one next, but don't click on that until, of course, after that tip from Tucker. Tucker, take it away.